Saugatuck Township Board on Wednesday, July 14th, 2021 to order. I just would like to note that Supervisor Ockman had another very important meeting to attend, so she is not in attendance today. So she is our chair, and with her not being here, I would entertain a motion to appoint myself, the clerk, as the chair of tonight's meeting.
I will move that Clerk Bigford chair the meeting this evening in the absence of Supervisor Osmond.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Passes 4-0. I have to call the roll, or just note that Supervisor Osmond? No. Okay. So note that all are present, with the exception of Supervisor Osmond. That brings us to item 4 on the agenda, which is approval of the agenda. I understand that Manager Fry has a request for an addition. You want to talk about that, please?
The addition to the agenda is for the trail resolution amendment to move the deadline sunset of June 1st, 2020. That is to allow officially to allow the committee to continue doing its hard work. So they are working very hard, and that target is September 1st. So things are moving well, but with the pandemic, they asked for some grace.
Is there any questions?
Where are you adding that?
At the end. Last item, number 10. Yep. I did talk to Cindy, and she was in favor of that.
New business, number 10. Okay.
I know we quit doing the pledge because of Zoom, and I noticed it's not on. Can we bring that back?
We just brought that up.
Oh, is that what you just said? I'm so sorry. I thought you were so... Okay. Never mind.
I think it's
At the end?
if no one's opposed, we talked about just skipping it until we can just formally add it back to our agenda.
I really meant that. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
I'll have it. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
It was just the COVID.
I was like,
the COVID omission.
Okay.
COVID carryover.
I know we passed it in there.
Yeah, we don't need two instructions then.
Yeah, take that off.
It's an adjustment. Does anybody have any questions for Manager Fry regarding the addition to the agenda? Not?
Mr. Fry, did you want to change the order of something, or?
If you want to change order for the settlement agreement to be brought up right after the PC and DBA appointment, you can. If you want to leave that, it's up to the board.
No, I thought you.
Yeah, I thought about it, and I was like, well, there's only 2 items in between. So. Think you think about over dinner.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to move that we take item 4 under new business, the voter settlement agreement, and make it number 2.
Did you recommend and was adding item 10 under new business, or
Sure.
regarding the trail?
I will make a motion to the following amendments to the agenda. That first, we move item 4, voter settlement agreement, to the second position before Parks Commission, and that we add a new item, number 10, relative to the Blue Star Bike Trail resolution.
A motion, do I have support? I'll support. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0. Okay, that brings us to public comment, and I see we have someone in the front row who just reminds me of a very astute student.
Yeah, really. Over anxious. So, there's a handout for each of you. Hi, Garnet Lewis, City of Saugatuck. I tell you how wonderful it is to be meeting people in person.
Yes.
This is awesome, so thank you. I'm actually actually going to be rude and ask that I report on this recycling committee because I'm going to the same meeting that your supervisor's at. So I need to skedaddle after this. But we wanted to at least bring your attention to some really important things and ask for your consideration on one particular item. So I have this handout for you. And the very last item, I'll actually start at the very bottom with Papergator. The city of Saugatuck and the city of Douglas have already approved the placement of the Papergator on their public property. In Douglas, it will be at 200 Blue Star, and here in the city, it will be here right at the DPW garage right here on Blue Star. My understanding is that Dan Franco from the committee has had some discussions with you all with it being back here behind the township hall, and all three locations, not one of them would conflict with any noise ordinances because it's in a commercial district, not a residential. For what it's worth, the recycling committee has, you all know, has been a wonderful group of people. It's like we're on a monthly thing to do something new, and this next month will be the Papergators. For those of you who don't know, the Papergators, they'll accept school and office paper, newspapers, junk mail, hard and soft cover books, magazines, shredded paper that's placed in a clear plastic bag, paper boards such as cereal type boxes, and cardboard 12 by 12 inches or smaller. So this is going to give a chance for a number of folks, even municipality offices, I think, to probably get rid of some shredded paper and other type of paper that you wouldn't normally be able to recycle. It's taken over to Byron Center, and then I think it's used, it says here somewhere, pet care, somewhere, it tells me what it's made. It does lawn care items and pet care stuff, so like pet beds and stuff like that. So it's continuing our commitment to really moving us to a true sustainability municipality and just our community. So we really appreciate your all blessing on the placement of this third one, because then we'll get them basically ordered and placed ASAP. Other than that, the battery buckets have been a huge success. I know you all filled yours up. The city of Douglas already filled yours up.
We've almost filled our second one.
That's awesome. Then you're going to have to allot more money for a subscription. So I can just tell you that in advance. But this is good because it's answering a need that people have had, which I really appreciate.
We've had city residents come in, but
yeah, because ours is 3/4 full, so that's all good. I don't care as long as they don't throw them in the trash. That's all I care. Also the soles for souls also going very well. Kelly Roche kind of did a mini report today. I think they've collected like 150 shoes already and are going to be sending those in. So Paris. And then some other good news that we weren't sure you knew about, that the Rotary Club, Jim Sullivan, he's a prolific grant writer, and he just, through the Rotary Club, was awarded a $10,000 grant for next year's Household Hazardous Waste Day. Wow. So that's a huge deal for us, and I think our plan is, with Jim and I together, we'll basically see if we can match that with private donations, and hopefully not have to come back to the municipality. So just take that money and put it towards battery buckets. How's that?
I really like that you kicked off our meeting with all good news.
We do what we can. And I have extra copies for folks if you want them. I made extras, so I know you can't take questions.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I was not aware of the souls until a couple days ago.
Yeah.
How long is it going on, and where?
I think it'll go on at least through the month of July.
Okay.
I know the fire station has...
That's through August 31st.
Oh, there you go, August 31st.
Okay.
And I'm trying to...
High school, land library.
Love of shoes.
Fire department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they want any type of shoe, heels, and... Because that ship has sailed. I can give you some.
As you can see, long ago with me.
Yeah, same here.
Long ago with me.
And they don't have to be new, they can be gently used. Right.
Yeah, like runners, right. When I was still running, I could go through a pair of running shoes, a month or so, and they look like new, but you put your miles on them, you can't really use them for running anymore. So, that's just something to think about. Other than that, good, great group. Dan and the crew have been wonderful. All right.
Thanks,
I apologize for having to skedaddle.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else come first row? Go ahead. Please state your name and
Hi, I'm Dr. Frank Altieri. I am the chiropractor on the point here, just in the shadow of Ski Mountain. Well, we're not talking about that issue, we're talking about something else today. I've been in business and practice here for 40 years, and I'm a property owner. I live at 2394 Lakeshore Drive, which is a Fenville address. I come to you today on behalf of the Saugatuck Township Coastal Alliance, for which I am one of the founding founders of. I have a few points to make in regards to the development of the marina at the end of at the mouth of the Kalamazoo River. As you know, the Coastal Alliance is a consulting party with the Army Corps of Engineers Section 106 Historic Properties Review in regards to the proposed marina at the mouth of the Kalamazoo River. And I believe you are also a consulting party under those regulations. Consulting parties are encouraged, as described by the federal regulations governing Section 106, the 106 process, to find alternatives that minimize and eliminate the impact to the historic, cultural, and ecological values and features found at the mouth of the river. The federal regulations clearly state development in consultation with identified consulting parties, which you are, that might avoid and minimize and mitigate any adverse effects undertaking on historic properties. The Coastal Alliance strongly believes that a balanced solution can be found that, one, meets the applicant's need to provide safe mooring for boats, and number two, eliminates the impact of the historical sites of Singapore, the cultural values of the tribal cultural landscape. The Patty Burkholz natural area, as you know, is adjacent to that as well. We believe our proposed least environmental damaging, practicability alternative achieves that balance. Now, that's a word you don't hear very often. I was raised on I'm a lifelong resident of Allegan County, raised on a blueberry farm, and my father would look at that and say, well, do you mean, what's that mean? Does that mean it's a damn smart idea? Anyways, you don't hear it very often. We are asking Saugatuck Township to review our proposed alternative, which all of you should have had reviewed by now. And we would like you to support this alternative letter. If a marina is going to be developed in the Kalamazoo River mouth, we all have a responsibility to get it right and to fully eliminate any negative impact to that area and our community. As I mentioned before, I'm a lifelong resident here. I want you to think of your time here, and I want you to think of those who came here before you, and I want you to think, most importantly, of what you would want your grandchildren to know about this area and what you would like them to see at the mouth of this river. Will it be a floating truck stop, carved out of history, or will it be a place in time? That's what Section 106 is all about. So I hope that you will join us and embrace an alternative to the inland marina. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the front row? No? Ms. Shipley?
Thank you. Denise Shipley, Saugatuck Township. Excuse me. First, I would like to show my support of Becky Israel.
Can you use the mic?
Of course.
You have to get pretty close. Yeah, quite loudly.
Screaming. I want to show my support of Becky Israel. She's excellent. She's fantastic to work with, and I rest my case. Second, I appreciate the efforts of the Coastal Alliance. I read just this afternoon the plan. I saw the conceptualized drawings of the mouth, and they've done a lot of work. I think they've done a lot of work, a lot of time, effort, cost. A lot of people have engaged, and I think that they are bringing forth an amazing plan, well thought. I think it probably wrenched their guts to cave that much, honestly, but I think in good faith, they have brought forth a plan, that I really, really hope that you will, consider. So I'm just here to show support for their, idea that I read this afternoon and researched really hard for the past few hours. So thank you for hearing me. Thank you.
Anyone else in the second row? Please state your name.
Nick Capoletti, 3279 Blue Star Highway. Good evening, neighbors. I've been a resident for 28 years, owned many properties, a business owner, an investor, raised my children here. So I'd like to begin by asking you folks, as you do your work, I'd like you to consider the issue of attracting, keeping the young generation. My children are 25 and 22. There's always been talk in my 28 years here about, well, there's no jobs for those kids. Well, the kids in my circle, almost all, can work from home. And so nowadays they have tech jobs or journalism jobs or what have you, where my son could work here, my daughter could work here, my partner's son could work here. They choose not to be here. And that's not all because of legislation or, decisions that could be made here. But as the gentleman spoke about, what do we want our mouth, the river mouth to look like? What do we want our public spaces to look like? My children are looking at things like carbon footprint. They're looking at things like housing. They're looking at things like quality of life, right? We have no trouble attracting certain characteristics of socioeconomic categories, right? We do for those younger kids. So please, I ask you to keep that in mind as you think about things like housing and parks. And I'd like to praise you on your decision with New Standard, for instance. That is the kind of decision that my kids would applaud. They think that is, whether they're users or not, they look at that decision, and I can tell you what they said. They said, holy cow, that was a surprise, and that's awesome, Dad. Okay, I know that the next couple of subjects that I'm asking you about or bringing up, you may not have final decision-making authority, but I would like to read them into the record, and you are influencers. Your opinion counts in the hallway, your opinion counts talking to other committees. So, three things. Blue Star Highway is unsafe between exits 36 and 41. I've lived there 28 years, either at my Elegant Street address or now at 3279 Blue Star. And I would like ultimately to see the speed reduced. This is becoming a corridor of commercial business and more activity. Bikers, just a lot of activity. I see people crossing the road from one side to the other. You see people stopping and doing U-turns because they've missed a business. So that would be ultimately, I think it would behoove, it would be safer, and I think it would be well received to reduce the speed between 36 and 41. Short term, I would request that you folks consider radar signs and purchase them if they have to be purchased. I do think I pay attention when I see these things flashing my speed. I think they work. I think it's a small investment that says, we hear you folks, it is a problem, it's a small step, but we take it seriously. Second thing I'm asking for is I'm requesting your assistance or influence on a drainage ditch that is just to the south of my property. If you know where my property is, if you're traveling north, you cannot see my property until you're right on it, because the drainage ditch is overcrowded and overgrown. I have cleared out as much as I can. I've gone to the road commission, asked them, and we are the loggerheads, frankly. I don't think in 28 years I've gone to the county for one thing. And when I have, we have not been able to reach a compromise. And that's the word I used with the commissioner just last week. Let's have a compromise. I'll spare you the details of the loggerheads, but please take a ride, see what you think. I think it's not only, you know, selfishly, it impairs the visibility of my business, which I just invested a lot of money in, and I think people enjoy the business, and it's a good thing. Community-wise, people are passing me by, stopping on the side of the road and parking. Or they're doing a U-turn because they've passed me by. It's terribly unsafe. Sit in my front yard, and you'll see stuff that is a horror driving by. So, if you could help me with that in any way, give me assistance, I would be appreciative. And the last thing is I attended the Attainable Housing meeting earlier in the week. Great meeting. Applaud, you know, the Planning Commission for making that assignment. I would simply ask where you can influence this is, what is attainable housing? What's the vision? Put some metrics around it, some goals around it. Is attainable housing affordable housing? And what is that number? Is the goal going to be reached when we have 100 homes available for under $200,000? Is attainable housing going to be reached based on a square footage? I saw some of us scrambling to figure out exactly what the goalpost was, besides maybe square footage. And what is that? Why is there a minimum for, you know, to begin with? Maybe we should have a discussion of reducing the allowable size of a house rather than making a minimum size of a house. So I would ask that we draw some parameters around that, and I also would ask that you be bold. 800 square feet is not a small attainable house, not when it costs $250 to build it, plus the property. And again, our children and younger generations and the rest of the world aren't living in 800 or 1,000 square foot homes. They're living in much smaller, and we can too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mifflin. It was my error and omission to remind everybody about the 3-minute time limit for people speaking as individuals and 5 for a group. So Scott, he took your time. So I'm kidding. Are you speaking today?
Sure, I'll
Mr.
speak and I tried to write it down so that I wouldn't go over.
I need a timer. I was looking up there. Or a flag. Throw a flag at me.
I appreciate all your well-thought suggestions. I did not want to interrupt as it was the announcement had not been made.
I don't know, it doesn't seem different to me when
Wait.
Is it on?
Yeah?
It's on.
Hold it really close.
Okay.
There you go.
You gotta really swallow the mic.
Yes, I'm going to make the speech I make every month.
Okay. I'll see if I can try to combine a couple of things here. I really did want to speak tonight. I took a look at the Coastal Alliance's newly revised practical alternative proposal for the North Shore Marina development. And I agree with what Dr. Alfieri and Nick have said. I think it's a very impressive, well-thought-out, professional effort to balance the various concerns and come up with a path forward that kind of addresses what everybody's needs are. And I agree, there's some compromise there, but I think it does mitigate the greatest harms that could arise from that. And so I just wanted to also, along with everyone else so far, encourage everyone to go ahead and submit that letter from the township as a consulting party to the 106 review process, because it just looks like a great step forward. So, and I also just, you guys all have heard this from me, it's just that all of the areas surrounding that North Shore development are so important to all of us in so many ways that, I think that underscores the importance. I just had, over the 4th weekend, 2 cousins here who are on the borderline of Gen Z. They're second or third removed, I don't know, 24 years old, like Nick's kids, and they had not been here before. They had been here they had heard about it from their grandparents and their parents, and they were so absorbed in the history and so busy going around and checking everything out. And I think it is very meaningful to pass this on to, to the generations that are coming along behind us. And so let me just go on real quick. I promise I'm not going to show up at every meeting in the future talking about Riverside Dugout Road. And I'm going to wrap this up really quick. I hear Cindy's voice somewhere in the background. I'm just hoping that I can learn a little bit more this evening about what the process is for Riverside Dugout going forward. I saw Manager Fry's, comments in the packet on page 126. And I'm just hoping that before the evening is over, we can get a little bit more information about what the road commission's response was. And there's a reference in there to using this time, and I'm wondering what that implies, using this time. What's the process going forward? When will it begin? What steps would be involved? What's the basis for the statement in there about upgrading current utility lines? Which utilities are we talking about? What work is anticipated? Are there preliminary plans in place? And how and when can we obtain relevant documents and information? So,
Sorry.
That's my cue to exit.
That was your cue. I thought I turned that off.
And I hope I didn't go too far over time.
Sorry.
I think you did it. Good job.
Thank you.
Sure.
What are we on, 3rd row? Come right up to the mic.
Hi,
State your name and address.
Joe Airhouse, Saugatuck Township, just a few doors down, actually, 3483. And I'll try not to be redundant, but wanted to talk about Blue Star and the traffic and safety and the speed. And I guess first thing I would do is add Holland Street for those first few blocks that are still 45. There's just too much volume to manage it safely, like you said. And I know that the construction on the highway has certainly exacerbated things, but I would submit that that is not the issue. It was there before, and it'll be here when that's done. It'll be here again next season. So I'm not sure what the process is, but we really need to reduce the speed limit. Maybe a center turn lane. A lot of things to discuss, but it has to be addressed because it's a huge safety issue. We've got a new tenant, the scooter rentals up there, and it's pretty terrifying for her to get her clients out sometimes. So, yeah, don't want to be redundant. It's a problem, and again, all the way down to the other exit. I mean, it's nice that we slow down before the bridge to 35, but we need to bring that up this way.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in that row? Come right on up. Please state your name and address.
Hello. I'm Terry Walker. I'm with Lulu Kenju, so it's 3480 Blue Star Highway. Same issues. Just want to say my piece as well. I came 3 feet from death last year, and from cars passing, people want to turn. Coming this way, they want to turn into Marathon Station. They pull into my parking lot, high speed, passing on the right side of the lane. So it happens all the time. I have very screech constantly. I'm worried for my customers. I'm worried for me and my family. It's a very hot spot there. I'm sure there are lots more along the way, but that's the one that I observe the most. So Nick mentioned that I could come and say that, and so that is what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. The last row. Come on up, Mr. Janetsky. Clerk Janetsky.
Thank you very much.
Madam Clerk, Acting Supervisor, and members of the board. Bob Janetzky with a brief update from the County Clerk's office. I appreciate the opportunity. First, I appreciate Clerk Bigford and her team opening up Township Hall today so that we could conduct an election training. Although it does not get nearly as much the press as the even-year elections, you do have an August election in just a few weeks, and many of your new election workers were there training. We appreciate their diligence and concern. And we know, as always, you and your team will run a great election. As of today, court records in the county on the circuit court side are online. This is a brand new service that we've never provided before. We are still working out a few kinks, as any go live will have, but we no longer either have to drive all the way down to 113 Chestnut Street in Allegan to get court information or try and reach us on the phone, but we would still be glad to take a phone call. That should be online as of today for you to access. We have been extremely busy in both the clerk's office and the Register of Deeds office. As you're aware, we did not close down at all during COVID. People were able to come to the county courthouse and obtain any of the services that they needed, including obtaining that CPL license. But what I do want to point out, in front of you, you've got a copy of my annual report to the Board of Commissioners, pages 26 and 27. I don't need to educate anybody here on the real estate boom that's occurred recently and continues to occur. However, last year we had a record year as far as number of recordings in the Register of Deeds office and amount of real estate transfer taxes taken in that you see on both those two pages. We broke, again, this is the annual report for last year, we broke last year's records, all of them in the Register of Deeds office already this year as of June. So next year's report is going to show some even more astronomical numbers, and that's before the sale of the Butler is even included in there. Wanted to educate everyone and make sure that they were aware, if you have a veteran who is living in Saugatuck Township or anywhere in the county, he or she can come down to the courthouse at the clerk's office. We're now issuing veterans ID cards. With that, the veteran in your life will get a copy of all the local businesses that we have on file that issue benefits or discounts to our veterans. It takes just a few minutes to come into the clerk's office and get that veteran's ID, as well as your individual will want to bring down with them their DD-214 or their papers of honorable discharge. And wanted to thank Commissioner Kappinger and the audience tonight. The County Board of Commissioners have been very good to work with. The clerk's office and Register of Deeds office could not run well without a good county board, so we appreciate their help. With that, I'll take any questions or concerns you have for the county clerk's office or Register of Deeds office.
Does the veterans discount count for spouses too, or?
They're issued only to the veteran with the veteran's picture on them. Now, if you happen to go out for coffee with the veteran,
Oh, no, I didn't know that,
it depends on the,
Sometimes they just give you.
right, it depends on the
Yeah.
business
Okay.
that's offering the jurisdiction. We don't get to have anything to say about what
Okay.
discounts are offered. We just issue the list. Yes.
I just happen to notice passport services. Do you do renewals?
We do passports and renewals, and we are, your local post offices are a little annoyed because you don't need an appointment when you come down to get it at the Register of Deeds office. And yes, we do renewals. We've got all the paperwork on file to help you get that done, and we can get you in and out the door if you have everything in order in about 20 minutes.
That's great news.
I know, there's a lot of other, I was trying to focus on what you were saying, but there's, a lot of other great information in here that looks like a lot of good news as well, so.
And on the deed transfers, I mean, we've had record numbers of property transfer affidavits for the last 6 months, and it's through the roof.
Between that and the refinancing, we're seeing 2 years on like the Register of Deeds office has never seen down there. So
it's great.
It is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
First, it's great seeing everybody.
You're already here from the county.
Okay, yeah. I assume you've been talking about your ARPA funds, and that's what we're spending a great deal of time on.
It's on our agenda.
We've had probably about a month to take in information from people saying, what are some of your needs that you're thinking we should spend the money for? We had, the major things that have come up with is, number one is broadband.
And obviously, we're sort of sitting back going, will there be funding coming for infrastructure on this next round from Biden? And so look out for that. But everybody says broadband is where we have to be at, and I think that's where we'll be at. But just with the idea of COVID funding for us, we're looking at having to put about $9 million aside just for next year for the second round of this. To think about, wait a minute, this happens as it did before, for what it cost us before. We're looking at that type of thought. Community mental health, I don't know if you kept up with them. They're looking at a new building right across from the hospital. They've asked us for about $2 million. The County Road Commission, just with the gas tax, people aren't driving as much. They're about $400,000 down. They came to us. Habitat for Humanity, you kept up with the stuff in Holland as far as what they're building. You know, off South Washington, there's 2 locations in Allegheny County. They're asking us for some funds. If some of you have been involved in if Scott's been here from emergency management, there's an EOC center as far as a command center. If there's a disaster where everybody meets. Our existing place at the dispatch center simply isn't efficient for that need. And we should spend some really foundational money in that to get it where it should be. So that's what we're looking at. Some just huge issues as far as to do it right. Also, I assume you've got some calls on the ORVs. Send them to our webpage as far as just say, go to alleghanycounty.org and just say, go to that front page to the bottom, you'll see in red letters, ordinance. Once they punch in ordinance, they'll see the road commission map and they'll see the ordinance, how it's spelled out as far as what they have for helmets and license and so forth, just to send people that way. And just lastly, I mentioned to you before about Rock 10, we finally made a decision to demolish that place, as far as to really prepare that land so we can sell it again. But let's have a great meeting. Thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Casca.
Yeah, we've been advised by, the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association, don't make any decisions on our fund spending. See what the feds do, see what the state does, see what the county does. So
I would bring up this.
We're going to take our money, but we're going to wait.
We had 3 different townships come to us and say, hey, we'll put our money in with you if you decide on broadband.
All right. Well, just keep us informed.
Yeah, I will. I'll try to keep on, I'll especially call you up as far as when we get to that. But to say that the more money we pull within that funding and say, boy, this is what we put at the top of our list. Maybe you wouldn't give us all of it. But if we have that, say, wait a second, we're going to put in, instead of 20 million, 30 million, that we could with the addition of different funds.
Sure.
But it'd be a big deal.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else in the last row? Okay. Then I will close the public comment section of our agenda and move on to item number 6, which is the consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look over the consent agenda? Are there any questions?
I have 2 comments. Disbursements was on last week and then it went away. Just to remind everyone, our tax year starts July 1st of each year and runs through March 3rd of the following year. And every month I issue disbursements to our tax partners. So I am requesting in the consent agenda, there will be 2 disbursements made this month, 1 later this week, 1 in a couple weeks. I don't have those numbers yet. Based on last year, the total will be around $300,000, so that's part of what you're approving today. And then I also want to make a comment to one of our newer staff members, Jennifer Drew, who did the minutes this time. And with all deference to you, her minutes I thought were amazing. So first time, that was great. So I just wanted to comment. Since there's several minutes in the consent agenda.
So you're asking for the approval for the disbursements to be added to the consent agenda?
Yes.
The approval of
Yes.
that? So they will be made later?
So 1 will be made this week and 1 in 2 weeks.
Okay.
They're due twice a month.
$300,000.
Yeah. Might be a little more. Because for some reason, tax payments are coming in at a higher rate than even last year, so.
Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the addition of the 2 upcoming tax disbursements.
I move
move to approve the consent agenda with the addition of the 2 upcoming tax reports.
I have a motion, is there support?
I'll support.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda passes 4-0. Okay, unfinished business, there is no unfinished business, great. And new business, we have, the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals appointment. Mr. Fry, how many applicants do we have? Could you go over what, vacancies we have and what applicants there are, and then we can begin interviewing if the applicants are present.
So there are 2 planning commission appointments for a new 3-year term and 1 opening on the zoning board of appeals for appointment for a 3-year term. That will be July 2021 through June 2024. There are 7 individuals that are interested in the positions that are up for appointment. On your memo, it does note and on the slide as well what board that they were interested in. 1 individual, Watkins, is unable to attend due to really bad allergies, but he was here last time and wanted to mention that he was still interested. And then Becky Israel couldn't make it. She had another meeting that she had to attend to. And she sent in a video, which I'll play, after everyone. So,
Are the other 5 in attendance?
I believe Michael Wirth is here, and anyone else apply for the zoning board of appeals or planning commission? Yes, sir.
Okay. Noted. So only Michael Wirth is present. Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll play her tape.
Great.
Yes, you're on the spot.
Extensively.
And all these questions for these new people, and they didn't show up.
We have interviewed Dick Watkins extensively in the past.
Yeah, but he
if
hasn't
you remember.
heard these questions.
Please approach the microphone, Mr. Wirth, and I will, when opposed to it, let Treasurer Hummer kick off the questioning. I know we have some prepared.
Do you want to say something first, though?
Yes, go ahead.
Give you a little bit of.
You were on Zoom last time.
Yeah, get a little bit of background. Ken, thanks for the opportunity to hear my application. I've just recently moved into the area. Been here about 3 years, built a new house. We moved from Holland. Lived in Holland 10 years. We've been around the area. My wife and I got married here 26 years ago. And voted here for 5 years after we were married, so we know the area pretty well, and we're very fond of it. We made a conscious decision to retire here a few years ago, so we love it. So professionally, I'm a degree industrial designer from the University of Illinois. I got a lot of graduate work in business and marketing, and the reason I'm here, I'm interested in serving the community, giving something back now that I got time on my hands as a retiree, and to also apply some of my business skills, hopefully, to what we can do with the township as needed. I really enjoy collaboration and problem solving, and I'm very concerned about the quality of ongoing development in the township, and I know everybody is, and so I make sure that I have a chance to participate and help that along as much as possible. I'm currently on the Attainable Housing Subcommittee and also on the Economic Development Subcommittee, and so far it's been a great experience and I've really enjoyed myself, so it's quite fun. Skills I can apply, I've got 20 years experience in corporate strategic planning, hands-on. I've got, I hope that I could be an advocate for both the residents and also neighborhood businesses. From a businessman background, I understand their issues. To some degree, at least, I've usually worked in much larger companies, but I understand the principles of it.
and, I'm a pretty action-oriented guy, so, again, enjoy, the opportunity to, present myself. Thanks.
Floor is yours.
All right. I call this a fun question. We'll see if it is. So you've been here 3 years.
Yep.
I'm just curious, the township owns and operates, 4, some say 5, but 4 actual parks. Have you been to any of them?
I have. I don't know if I can cite the names of the parks.
Okay, where-
We visit them, we go out to, Mount Baldhead quite a bit, and, you know, obviously the city park, we're there all the time. I don't know all the rest of them offhand, but, we enjoy the whole system, so.
Mount Baldhead's in the city.
Is it? Okay. I'm not aware of the, 5 parks.
It's not a trick, I'm just kidding. Our biggest, most prominent park is, River Bluff.
Okay.
Down Old Allegan Road, just
Down
after the, okay.
Yep.
Beautiful park, and we just redid the pavilion there.
Yep.
And then there's the dog park.
Right.
Sunset Park's been closed because of the erosion,
All right.
and now I'm forgetting.
Veterans Club.
Oh, you've driven by the 4th one. It's a little, it's basically a bench on Blue Star.
Oh, okay.
Across from Fairgate.
Yes.
But there's a movement to expand it.
Good.
And those are our 4 parks.
Okay.
And I was gonna ask mainly people I didn't know about 2 particular issues relative to planning, but I think you've articulated those in your introduction, and I certainly know you because you're on the Business Development Committee that I chair, so I'm not gonna make you repeat those kinds of answers. I'll turn it over to my colleagues.
I have nothing prepared.
What experience do you bring planning-wise from your past experiences?
Well, like I mentioned, minimum 20 years in corporate strategic planning, so setting a big goal for a particular entity or company, and then breaking that down into how those goals are measured, defined, and then getting action plans around those for about a 5-year plan. So, so it's been, they spent a lot of time working on that at the high level and also at the detail level, actually making specific things happen. I think the important thing in planning, as somebody mentioned earlier, is specifics. So we want to do this, but what's that mean? And the more detail you can put around that, and that requires sometimes some information gathering and research, obviously, the more effective your work's going to be.
And I'd just like to say, I know you spoke last time, and your letter, cover letter, or what would this be? CV kind of, anyway, it's very detailed and very clear. So, thanks.
I'd just like to comment that I appreciate you coming back and reapplying and also joining one of the subcommittees of the Planning Commission. It just shows us that you're serious and your commitment, and I think you've been really well received. And we don't need to go through an extensive interviewing process because we've done that. We've reviewed your, or at least I don't have any more questions. Other people might, but I do really appreciate your sticking to it. Saying, you know, I want to do this. I'm not going to just walk away and, you know, not come back. So thank you for doing that and getting involved in other areas in the meantime.
And where did you come from? You may have said earlier, where did you retire from? Where did you live before?
Holland, North Holland.
Oh, and prior to that?
Drive.
Oh, okay, okay. I just saw an area code that was very similar to mine, but
I
that's,
used to live in Chicago.
okay, that's what I was asking.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Werb?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hang around.
I want to pull up like the Israel video that you want.
Okay.
Great.
Here at the beginning of the site.
Oh,
So for those who are not familiar with Becky Israel, she is the chair of the Planning Commission and she is wanting to be considered for reappointment. Try and buy some time.
mic, just put your mic down by the speaker, please.
Working and doing this for the township. I think currently we have a very good commission, and our group of people have really pulled together. It's been very difficult during COVID to have new people on a commission and work together through Zoom, and I think that we've managed those obstacles pretty well. I'm very impressed by the people on the commission today, and I think you've done a wonderful job with their appointments. I would like to remain on the commission, and I'm committed to our township and to the processes we've started as a commission. We currently have 3 separate teams that have come out of the planning commission that are working on things that are in relation to the master plan. These projects are all in their inception, but they've had great starts. And I think because I was involved in the inception, it might be beneficial to keep me. I bring experience to the table, I guess. I've worked with people all my life. I've been a healthcare administrator, but I was involved in local government in Holland. And I was a city councilman and elected official there. And then came here and volunteered to do various other things for the township, in terms of board voting and other things. I firmly believe in leadership and leadership skills, and I think we are developing those in our current commission. With our teams we've put in place, I think that there's a storming, norming, and performing phase to go through, and we have got through the storming phase, we're into the norming phase, and we're getting to the performing phase. So I think good things are coming out of these teams, and I'm excited for you to see and hear about some of the things that we're recommending, and we're anxious for your input too. Other qualifications I think are probably on my resume, but I guess that's really all. I'm again apologizing because I'm not here with you physically this evening, but I am with you at heart, and you can call me anytime, and I will be home this evening after 9:30, or I'm available tomorrow if you have any other questions. Thank you for your consideration of really good people for the planning commission. I think that's really important. So thank you for everything you do too. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think as we don't have anyone else here in the audience and we don't have any other video prepared, does anybody want to make any comments before I read Supervisor Osmond's
Just to be clear, ZBA member Christinik is not here.
Oh, and he is, but I wouldn't.
You wouldn't see it. All right. It's just customary when you're standing again to appear.
I would just like to honor all of our applicants. There's a lot of experience, whether it's with past experience with planning or real estate or grant writing or journalism, great people that hopefully we can get involved in some capacity. And I do appreciate Ms. Israel. I think I've only ever heard really excellent feedback about her leadership, and we're really lucky to have her. Any other comments or discussion before I read Supervisor Osmond's appointment?
So, just for the rest of the board and the public know, Cynthia Osmond, as she's not here, she wrote her appointment and submitted it via letter for tonight, so, as it's late.
And I don't know what the word is for it, but for the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeal, she makes the appointments and we either approve or deny them. So, I will go ahead. Osmond writes, "It is with pleasure that I make the following board appointments for the important and influential positions for the Township Planning Commission and Zoning individuals have served the township collectively for many years in various capacities, and I welcome their continued participation and contribution. So I guess I would entertain a motion to approve or deny Supervisor Osmond's appointment. And we'll do those separately. We'll do the Planning Commission and then the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay. So I will make a motion relative to the Planning Commission in support of Supervisor Osmond's nominations of Rebecca Israels and Michael Worth to serve on the Planning Commission.
I'll support.
I have a motion and support. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Congratulations.
Yes. Congratulations.
I'll make a further motion as per the nomination process of Supervisor Osmond to reappoint to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Alan Krasinik.
There's support?
I'll support.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Wonderful. Thank you all applicants. If you're listening to this later on our YouTube, please come back. We want you all. All right, moving on to, so are we going on to the, number 4 is moving up to number 2 at this point for the, okay.
So as we have previously mentioned before, and from the direction of the board, this is the proposed settlement agreement, and Attorney Curcio here, and
James McGovern.
Attorney James McGovern, with EMP through the insurance, and we'll go over this with you.
So this is, as you know, a fairly complex case and a fairly complex proposed settlement. I can go into details as much or as little as you would like me to. As much or as little as you would like me to this evening. Very broadly, this case is about the International Fire Code requirements that apply to 16 properties on the east side of 66th Street between Holland Street and 135th Avenue. There's not currently an approved water supply for those parcels, which...
Can I, sorry to interrupt, but just for the public, that's the Van Horn property.
Correct. Which means that the owners of those parcels, which includes Mr. Van Horn and several individuals that have purchased those lots in the last few years, are unable to get building permits for any proposed structures at the moment. And all 16 property owners are essentially in the same situation. The current case only pertains to one of those properties, but there's potential for the same problem occurring on all these lots.
Excuse me just 1 second, I'm sorry. Will the mic pick it up? Because this mic is not working. I mean, will the other mic pick it up?
It should.
Okay.
It always has in the past.
Okay.
I have in the past taken minutes. I can hear people that are speaking very quietly.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. Okay. I want to make sure you're recorded.
So this proposed agreement would address not only the plaintiff's property, but the other 16 as well. It calls for the township to undertake the needed water main construction to provide the water supply needed for firefighting, as well as it would also allow these owners to connect to public water as opposed to a well system. Proposes an 8-inch dead-end water main. That's what's been recommended by the township engineer. There is a possibility for moving the main in the future to an existing main on 135th Street. And the project is being called for to be financed through special assessment bonds, and we can talk about a little bit of that as we proceed.
So we're asking for council consideration of, in addition to the settlement agreement tonight, relating to starting that special assessment process. So contemporaneously with the signing of this agreement, with the approval of this agreement, if the board were to approve it, would start establishing a special assessment district in order to levy the total cost of this project, which I believe is estimated at $545,000 as a special assessment against these 16 parcels to be paid over the course of 10 years. And then to issue bonds to borrow that cost to undertake the project in the spring of 2022, because there's probably not enough time to undertake the project during construction season this year. The agreement has kind of very, very detailed provisions about when building permits would be able to be issued. That is essentially once special assessments are finalized, probably sometime in the early to mid fall, depending on how the timeline shakes out of all of this. So that would give homeowners the potential to construct homes in the fall if they choose to do that. And assuming that it all goes according to the hope for, the schedule that we're hoping for in terms of approval of these documents. So what the board is being asked for tonight is the approval of two motions. The first is to approve the settlement agreement itself, which begins on page 78 of the agenda packet and continues for quite a few pages and includes 3 exhibits, including a consent judgment that the court would ultimately enter into the case. So that the settlement agreement goes all the way to page 91 of the agenda. On page 92 is the second item, and that's the resolution to start the creation of special assessment district. Then there'll be 2 more meetings where that item will come before the board in various forms. The next being a public hearing on the necessity of the project, would be at your regularly scheduled August meeting, and then a special meeting towards the end of August to finalize the assessment, and that's needed in order to kind of expedite that timeline of the project. I think I hit all the details I was planning to. If you have any questions, there's obviously a lot more here. There's many pages of documents, and I'm happy to just try to explain anything that's helpful.
So with this time frame, would you think the assessment would start being assessed, put on tax bills in the summer of 2022? After July 1st, or might it be later than that?
Yes, that was a good question that I had not thought about, but yeah.
I have to think about that.
Right. Let me write that down and get you a definite answer from bond counsel.
Okay, and I know at some point I'll be in conversations with whoever works with us from Baker Tilly, but it's the first time this board has adopted a special assessment or issued a bond.
And once this is approved, we will be planning with all the parties within the township to meet together to make sure that the timeline, and I'll send an update on the progress over time.
So I think at the next meeting, the resolution will pertain to the necessity of the project. We probably won't address that question. I think the third resolution addresses specifics of the payment of the special assessment. It would probably be on there, but I think we gave you the answer.
All right, yep. Thank you.
I just have one question. I know we've discussed this in detail before, and I wanted to ask you if there's anything major that's different in this, because honestly, I didn't memorize all this, so I thought I'd ask you for the cliff notes, if there is.
Well, I wouldn't say there's anything that's different. When we last spoke, the agreement hadn't actually been written.
Right.
So there were kind of devil in the details in these things. There were some issues that came up that probably weren't discussed. We discussed it previously. The big one being how structures other than single-family homes would be treated. So I think our assumption was that only single-family homes would be built on these lots because it's the R1 zoning district. But your zoning ordinance that theoretically allows other types of structures, including two-family structures. So we had quite a bit of back and forth on that. Ultimately, the way it was resolved is that if a
under 3,600 square feet, which is a number in the fire code, then it could be approved immediately. If it's over that, then they would have to wait until the main is constructed, and then, then it would be subject to the ordinary fire district approval of actually test the hydrant to see what the water pressure is compared to the table, kind of the normal approval process. So that was kind of a compromise on that issue. Again, we're not necessarily anticipating any two-family dwellings. The building permits we have are for one-family dwelling, with two pending building permits for one-family dwelling that are well under that 3,600 square foot number. I think there's like 2,000 is my memory. But other than that, I think pretty much discussed the major details previously.
Did you have any questions or comments?
No, actually, that was my question, and you answered it, so thank you.
This is one of the final steps in the multi-step process, and we thank you for working very hard to reach a workable solution to this issue. I don't have any other questions. John?
No, I wanted to thank you and Mr. Strong and his colleague. I know you've spent a lot of time and hard work, and I think you've been very good at keeping us surprised along the way. So it's nice to see resolution. I did just want to make one comment for my colleagues and the public, and just to remind them of this. In our master plan, which is supposed to guide all our decisions, it states very clearly that if a developer needs water extension made to their property, it's the responsibility of the developer to pay that. Now, this is not happening here, it's passing it on to the people that buy in the development. I'm glad we're not saddled with that. We are saddled with legal costs and other related costs that we will gladly pay. But I just wanted to point that out, because again, this was a project that was approved before we took office by a previous zoning administrator and planning commission. And we now have these 4 subcommittees of the planning commission who are really trying to review everything in the master plan and in all our ordinances to see if they're enmeshed, do they support each other, and are we making the right decisions moving forward. And so should something similar to this come again, I hope we pay more attention to that, and I hope this doesn't set a precedent, but I'm happy about the resolution. Thank you.
It would have been a lot easier if we were dealing with a single person, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
That the developer does own quite a few of these lots still, so there will be things for them in that respect, but because of the way it's laid out.
Yeah, they're selling. Okay.
Right, so,
So, Mr. Curcio, at this point, we would potentially move to approve the settlement agreement and the resolution of intent. There's no further discussion or questions? Yes. There are 2 separate motions prepared on the screen, or I think we have hard copies if anybody would like to go ahead and I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move. I motion to approve the proposed settlement agreement for the Bodish versus Saugatuck litigation and to authorize the supervisor and clerk to sign on behalf of the township. Do you want both the same one? I didn't think so.
Support?
I'll support.
A motion, by Marcy and support by Aldrich. Is there any further discussion? Is this a roll call vote? Okay. So I will call the roll. Bakeford? Yes. Helmrich?
Yes.
Marcy?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yep.
Motion passes 4-0. We can move on to the resolution of intent.
I motion to approve the proposed resolution of intent to make public improvements and to establish the 66th Street Water Special Assessment District Number 1.
I'll support.
Motion by Aldrich, support by Helmrich. Is there further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, call the roll. Aldrich?
Yes.
Marcy?
Yes.
Helmrich?
Yes.
Bakeford? Yes. Motion carries 4-0.
Thanks,
So-
Nick.
Thank you.
Wait, we're not done.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh.
Good government.
McGovern. That was Irish.
Yes.
Thank you for attending. Thank you.
Yes, it's more often than I
Sorry
don't
we
have
didn't
to
ask
speak
you any
during
great
something.
things.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Parks Commission resignation. If anybody could supply me with the page number,
Oh.
they get to the
I was just looking at it. 52. 52. Remember, we jumped it.
Oh, because we
Oh,
were
that's
out.
right, we were there.
Gotta go back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I print mine off differently.
Well, no, but we jumped ahead tonight.
I know, I would tell you, but I don't have.
Oh, you don't have the,
I print mine off, so I have the.
I've been keeping track.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask Manager Fry to go ahead and kick off this agenda item.
So as, oh, haha, yeah.
Wow.
I love technology. So, as you, as I put in my report, last couple months, the Park Commission, their quorum is 4 out of 5. So in order for them to operate and function, they need 4 members to be there. Currently, with, the resignation of Lori Goshorn and, Commissioner Bardman having some family difficulties, and she has vocally submitted her resignation, but we need it in writing. They cannot meet to officially accept that resignation. So on behalf of the Park Commission, the Township Board will, the authority to accept that resignation, and the Township Board is the board that will make this appointment to the partial term that will go from whenever it's appointed to November of 2022. Any candidates will then run for a partial 2-year term starting from 22 to 24 to serve that remaining elected position. Once this appointment is made, then they can make quorum and continue conducting business. The Park Commission does ask that when you do release the application process, that they have a chance to review and write letters and, their comments back on behalf of themselves. So, that's it.
So when would we potentially be making those appointments?
If you release them today, we can put them on for the August. So I did have someone to call, and they were interested in the position, so the story has already gotten out there, so people are starting to be interested.
But we'd have to post by next week, right?
So I'll post it, the quarterly newsletter will be going out this week, so I'll include that within that,
But they'll go in the commercial record too, right? Yeah.
questions?
Are there any special, criteria for them? Are there any certain expertise?
Selection.
No, I understand that, yeah. Well, we put it out,
So we can, for the appointment, we can be more selective, right?
Right.
Yeah, but as it is an elected position, at least someone on your board was appointed, it would be a similar process. This appointment is a board appointment, so it wouldn't be just the supervisor making a slate, it'd be the board itself. So I just want to make that clarification known.
Okay. There's no further questions or discussion. I'll entertain a motion to accept Commissioner Goshorn's resignation.
I make a motion to accept the resignation from Commissioner Gottschorn from the Park Commission.
Support?
I'll support.
Motion by Aldridge, support by Marcy. Is there any further discussion? I'd just like to thank Commissioner Goshorn for her many years of service on the Parks Commission and in elections and lots of different areas in the township, and she's really worked a great deal for the betterment of our community. So just wanted to acknowledge that.
She is still serving our community on our tri-community recycling
Recycling,
committee. So I
that's
just want to
right.
know
I
she's
knew
still
there were-
serving us. So.
And she'll continue to serve elections, so we appreciate all of her hard work and dedication. I know there was a card sent to her, but. Any other further discussion? Lots of things.
We can vote.
Okay. And just a voice, okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Brings us to, township branding. This I know has been something Manager Fry's been working a great deal on, so I'll let you begin this, discussion.
So one of the goals that we selected for our fiscal year 2021-22 fiscal year is to rebrand and update our website. Part of that, as when we discussed at our board workshop, is looking at branding to make us coherent. One of the goals within the strategic action plan is also to work in collaboration with our partners in our community. This meets both those goals of our social media presence, making it more transparent for our website, for our applicants, construction folks to better get information as we go forward, as well as collaborate with our strengthened by working with the Convention Bureau. I talked to Ms. Nye, and she's very excited about this potential partnership, and she's been working to get the community to work together so that we can market ourselves cohesively with a similar brand design. The brand proposal before you is from Concept A Creative. They did the Convention Bureau's design work, and one of the references is also Spring Lake. I did check the reference to Spring Lake, and they were very happy with the product that they received. This branding proposal is a little bit trimmed down from what both those entities have, as we have recently conducted our visioning session part, which is a normal process about within the school branding, as well as we have some more focus on where we want to go, so that has trimmed it down, which has trimmed down the cost. Traditionally, this product ranges in $15,000 to $20,000 for the service. The proposal before you is for $8,500. I believe very intensely about the productivity of having a unified brand, what makes that professional, make sure that we show to the public that we commit ourselves to excellence in all regards, from how we perform and for our service. Those are my little update on that. Does anyone have any questions?
So where are they based?
I thought they were in Chicago, but I think they're in Spring Lake. I got confused.
Yeah.
What it was.
And do you know, are they pitching their services to Saugatuck Public Schools?
I don't believe so.
Because there's a page in here that says,
Yeah,
each of
I was
talented
just looking
people
at that.
will be on Saugatuck Public Schools rebranding project. So
Oh.
I think they got confused.
Yeah, they may have.
We're on the front page, but not this page.
Maybe they are. I didn't ask them that, but that would be great. Excellent, for partnerships.
You know, I like to prove things.
Which I do appreciate in the office.
So should we move, I guess during the discovery phase, will they be meeting with staff and members of the team?
Yep, so when I discussed with Mr.
Dole, yeah.
Dole, they will meet with us, do some light stakeholder meetings, possibly a public survey to get some input. One of the questions that we did have, so before we have this meeting with the board, is to think about our current logo. Do you want to keep it or look at something different? Part of this process, we will get a product once the listening session with the board and reviewing our documents comes. We will get a draft. It will be presented to the board to your comments and feedback. And then we will have 2 rounds of revisions to get that process. I recently did this with the city of Ladman, and the product that we got, different company but similar process, turned out very well, and the county themselves actually took, piggybacked off from us and moved to rebrand themselves. So it might be a spark with our partnering community to join us as we are working together in a similar unified fashion.
What, if any, feedback did you get from Spring Lake besides that they were pleased with
the comments back was very professional and attentive to the design work. As they went through the full spectrum, they did a lot of hands-on surveying and public engagement processes, and they're very pleased with the attention to detail. So it was very well thought of.
So their work for Spring Lake is up and running and?
Yes, it is. Yep. They have like sandwich boards in their downtown.
I mean, like websites, I mean, what?
I would have to check, I believe so.
Yeah, I'd like to know, visit a couple websites they've done.
They did do websites, this is just the branding, it's the
Okay.
first step.
All right.
So, talking about the website, once this branding package comes to us, we'll have everything from letterhead design to website design. This will allow me to give to our potential website developer. So I will start the RFP for the website. I will hand them the information, and they will be able to quickly and effectively create the design of our website. It makes it 10 times faster to get a website up and operational because they have everything that they need. They have the font, style, colors, pictures, logos, the framework. Having done 3 websites over the last 3 years, you can get this a little bit faster because I know exactly what they're going to be asking in the website for. So this just helps me that way.
So Joe, how is the payment made? Is it made up front, or how is the
payment? I believe what I discussed with them, we pay a portion up front and then the remaining portion at the end. So I can
if for whatever reason we're not pleased, several months in, do you know how that would work?
So if we weren't pleased, one of the things that Spring Lake did is they went through a couple additional revisions, and so they discussed that, and it didn't go well as they did those revision processes. So I'm confident that we get a good product and will get a good product at the end of it.
So I assume in the paperwork, the final agreement, there'll be a detailed list of deliverables from them. I'm just wondering if maybe some of that's in here, but I'd like to see a draft of those deliverables and allow us to maybe add to it if we see fit.
So what I can do is I send the deliverable from Gladwin to Concept A Creative of what I was looking for within, and I can send that to you as well as I have that copy. So in there it goes over the different font sizes, how that font size is used within the marketing realm. You get a number of different variations of the logo. So you have the seal, style, and then it's all in the sizes. All you can get it in JPEG and different pixels, as well as the design for shirts. There's different.
Take next door.
Yep. To take next door. I'd like to get a flag. I think that would be nice to kind of showcase a nicer appeal. And those types of things. So it gives a lot of big product. It also streamlines the color tone. So I'm not a market designer, so I believe it's Pantone. There's a number, and you can type it in, and you get the exact color. That will be part of the product. Sometimes the products include additional font, a particular font that is not standard, so that comes with the product, and we would install that into our systems and provide that. So it gives us a whole package in how we brand ourselves. One of the things looking towards the future as we are talking about economic development tools, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation has a program called Redevelopment Ready. It's a very good program that I strongly believe is important as we look towards the future. One of the requirements is to have a branded market strategy. So having this product would, if we do go towards that, which opens up grant dollars to us for being involved, we will have already checked the box going forward. So, looking towards the future for other things.
Tell me again how this partnership with CVV would work. I mean,
so the partnership would be, the font styles would be similar, and we would have our own color palette, but our secondary and tertiary color palette in our wheelhouse would be colors that they would use. So they would use some of our colors and we use some of them on the backgrounds and stuff. Then we can work on cross-marketing things. So when we have a development or an event going on, they can market it in our parks and things like that. And everything looks like they're related. Cohesive look instead of, oh, you can tell your brothers, but you're different. You're not twins. So, type attitude on the marketing and branding aspect.
Are they working that way with either of the cities?
I did briefly bring it up to the managers. That is not one of their top priorities. I do believe that we can show that this process works in collaboration with the Convention Visitors Bureau, that they might take another peek at this and putting on their priority list. And if, you don't have to recreate the wheel when everyone's using a similar thing, because we're so close in background and understanding of what our community is, because they're 10 feet from us. So it allows a little bit more cohesiveness.
okay, so the 8,500 does not touch the website.
It does not touch the website.
And then, do we hire people again to do that, or might we be able to do it in-house? What's the next step? I'm kind of looking at overall cost.
So the next step would be doing the website, going out for a bid for website redevelopment. Within that RFP would have website maintenance. Right now, if something were to break on it, it would be very hard for us to update, add a page, get information to actually be readable and attainable. For example, the recycling committee asked for us to create a page dedicated to recycling. I'm not an IT expert, I've taken courses in splitting stuff, and I can manage our website now. So I couldn't create a page from scratch.
Did you ask our webmaster?
I haven't asked them yet.
I mean, we do have him. He's relatively he's slow to respond, but when we've needed something like that no one here has the challenge to do, he is out there.
Webmaster?
What is his name? I used to call him like every week.
Oh, and then we began, we were both struggling with that, yeah. I can't even think of his name. I haven't, I had the email of him, we almost changed who our credit card company was, but I continue.
But the website development itself would be about $15,000 to $20,000 on average for a very good website. A number of them with that price does include website management. So similar to our IT right service, you pick up a phone to them, and they do that maintenance for us. So that would be the next step.
I'm a little concerned about the overall cost. I honestly thought it included websites, and just my assuming.
If I can jump in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I very much have sticker shock on this as well, like, what, for a logo? But I think it's more than a logo, and with something, that we're hoping to have for a very long time and do it right. I think the do-it-yourself kind of stuff is not appropriate, and it does cost a lot of money, and I know in some communities by that have really gotten it wrong, and it's like, that's your logo and that's your motto? What? That doesn't make sense. But I'm with you, there is some sticker shock there, and I certainly would want to see a list of the.
Yeah, that's why I'm so kind of hooked up with deliverables, and if it's not a long enough list, then I would question the price.
Right, and I get it, we wanna do it really right, and like a long-term commitment to this, you know, branding, and,
So if the board wants, you can table it for next month, and I can send you what I sent them as, I want something like this.
I'd like something from them.
From them,
From them?
yeah.
Okay.
Very clearly stating, so, I mean, it's just what we can hold them accountable to,
Well, I
we
can
need
do
that.
And not to slow it down,
Oh,
there might be other firms we want to talk to.
if that is a choice, that the board can do. I am bringing this one before at that partnership that they recently worked with CDB.
Yeah.
They already have the product, and that's what
So
the
that's a plus.
the cost can come down a little bit instead of restarting. But I can ask them for a more detailed list, and I will also send you what I sent them and showcase what I was asking for. So you can see and compare apples to apples and say, when did Joe get that?
No, that'd be very helpful.
I will do that for you.
Does the CBD have it up and running yet on their website?
Yeah.
Their new logo and stuff? Okay.
Yep. So they are using their new design.
Mm-hmm.
It's the design. They're using their old logo and design all together with marketing.
I'd encourage everyone to sign up to get the CVB emails.
Okay.
Lisa's done an amazing job. She's now sends out a weekly list of things going on in the communities.
Good.
And it just comes automatically, and it gets pressed in a national travel magazine. You get a copy of it.
Yeah.
I enjoy getting it. And then remind Concept A that we're not Saugatuck Public School. I didn't notice that when I read it yesterday. It was just today. What's this? That's the wrong page. We're much different than the schools, right?
Oh, the schools are pretty great.
Can I get a motion for that to be tabled?
Oh, sure.
So, yes, entertain a motion to table the township branding, proposal, the August meeting. That wasn't my motion, I was asking.
Right. I'll move to table the township branding proposal decision, until the August meeting.
Motion, is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Aldrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Perfect.
We're
I
on
do look forward to that.
good.
Oh, okay.
What? Okay, the next, item on our agenda is the financing engagement letter. If you could give us, an overview of that, Manager, I appreciate it.
So as the board approves the settlement agreement, part of the FAE process includes getting bonds and going out to the market. Then it is strongly advisable to have a financial advisor to help with that process and make it nice and smooth. Baker & Tilly is currently working as our financial advisor on our proposal for our water rate study. So I did ask them for an engagement letter to do the 66th Street, which you just approved to start that process. But there is also work for Wiley Road, which is down by the church in Isabel's, there between Blue Star and Lakeshore. The residents there have been working, and they created an escrow to look at putting a water main extension there as well.
Okay.
So I tried to get 2 in 1. So if you look at the last page of the proposal, the scope index, it goes over in more detail than the services would be $12,500 if both the special assessments were combined into one bond issue. And if they were separate, it'd be $8,000 each for each bond separately. These fees would be incorporated within the bond itself, so it wouldn't impact the township. Any questions?
I mean, the Wiley Road project's nowhere near as close, is it?
It is. Their escrow work is pretty much completed. We just have a few questions, and we'll be presenting that to the, giving it to the residents so that they can make their petition for an FAQ request. So, from our other conversations with the residents, they're very eager to review and move forward.
And in the case of Wiley Road, that's all individual property owners, right?
Correct.
There's not a Van Horn behind it.
No, it's residents themselves. They want to build homes and have water access, and so they want to know if they are needing a well or if they can have water. The Wiley Road is also loop the water main system. Currently it ends at the church, coming from Blue Star, and there's a gap where the church is between that and Lake Shore, so they're going to fill that up and keep a looping system for freshness.
And do you know offhand how many properties are included in Wiley?
Not offhand.
I'd be curious. It's the issue of combining them then.
Oh, with the bond?
Yeah, I mean, 2 bonds at once, 2 new special assessments, that's, like I said, we only have 1 now, so I'm nervous about us rushing into all these bonds and special assessments.
But they are related in terms of water issues,
Right.
correct? So
I knew Wiley was being looked at, I didn't know
Yeah.
it was as close as Van Horn.
So I could see why you would do one.
Yep.
And there is a savings. But I am not an expert on bonds, I do not know.
So, Baker and Tilly recommended, and
Yeah.
they're doing a good job with us so far on getting that set up, so. The proposal before you tonight.
Any other questions or discussion? Entertain a motion?
So, I'm sorry, I was,
Go ahead.
where's the proposal?
Well, it's called the scope appendix, which gives the deliverables, that's what he was talking about earlier.
But I mean,
That's 98.
usually there's this, oh, there's a recommended motion. So-
Right,
Oh,
right.
It is. Okay, page 91.
Yeah.
Should I make a motion? I, motion to allow the township manager to sign off on the finance engagement letter as presented with Baker Tilly.
I'll support.
A motion by Aldrich, support by Marcy. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. The next, agenda item is stipend for the ambulance representative. Our ambulance representative is Mr. Tony Schiffa. He's excellent. He's gone above and beyond in his service, and he brings so much expertise and experience to the table. And I thank you. John, are you the one that brought this up, or someone else?
Yeah, as the former representative for the township on that body, yes, I've been the one.
Well, thank you for bringing that to light. I think it's been overlooked, and it's high time that we take a look at this.
What?
Just thinking about this, Manager Craig has included in here that we our current stipend is $75 for a chair and $50 for a representative on our, boards and commissions, including, Cal Lake. A recommendation is $50 for, Mr. Shippa. I don't know if it changed it at all, but I think he is, even though it's not our board or commission, the ambulance of the 5 communities.
Five or six, I think, yeah.
Anyway, 5 or 6. He is the chair of that. So I don't know if that changes anything,
I don't think so in this case.
Okay.
They vote on a chair, but it's not like our PC chair, he's our representative.
I know,
Yeah.
right,
Good
I get that, it's just,
And I
he does
misspoke
have,
when you said what you said a minute ago, about me bringing it up, I should have just said yes. I was looking at the Cal Lake Harbor thing and responding to that. I was never on the ambulance committee.
well, we did attend
But
some
yes, we
meetings.
did.
I was like, we weren't on the committee, but we attended,
We opened our
we were
ears to
there.
how things moved.
The loud meetings, if I remember correctly, that's a long time ago.
They meet quarterly, the ambulance,
Right.
And
I just think of the work that he did, how long have I been here, maybe 3 years ago, it was unbelievable. That,
to educate people
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
extending
Yeah.
that coverage and,
yeah.
Okay,
I think we should add him.
absolutely.
Can I make a motion?
And just an aside, in a month or two, we'll be having the same conversation about reps on the harbor.
I hope we do that too,
It's
People
premature,
spend their
but
time. Yeah.
they kind of need
I was hoping that,
to be
that would be
consistent.
considered,
It's really low considering how much
Right.
time they spend on it, but at least it's
With,
an acknowledgement.
for discussion, as the joining of the Kalamazoo Lake Harbor Authority is also on the agenda tonight, and as you're talking about making those, you could merge the two
Okay.
into one motion.
Oh, I thought you wouldn't like that.
Oh.
I was thinking that, but I thought it was premature because we haven't voted on the next
I
item.
think it would be fine.
Oh, well, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we approve a $50 per diem stipend for both the ambulance representative, which is the Emergency Services Committee, as well as the Kalamazoo Lake Harbor Authority, paid to our appointed representatives to both bodies.
I'll support.
Motion by Helmrich, support by Aldrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none. These are, the rest of them are voice votes tonight, or is it joining in?
There is, the next one is a resolution.
Okay. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. All right, that brings us to the Kalamazoo Lake Harbor Authority resolution to join. This is the last step in a very long process, and I'll let you give us an overview of that process. Manager Fred.
So as I came on board, between transition, catching up on projects, as well as the city, Saugatuck was also doing the same thing. This kind of got put on the back burner, but we made sure we got it back up here for you. The process started with a intent to join in 2019 from the Township Board. The city of Douglas approved the amendment to allow the township to join in April 18th, 2021, and the city of Saugatuck did so on May 10th. Now it is time for the Township Board to formally approve a resolution, which is Resolution 2021-06, amended Act 7 Interlocal Cooperation Agreement, creating the Kalamazoo Lake Harbor Authority to admit the township into subsequent bylaw amendment. So once this is done, we can post and make those appointments to that board, and then the Kalamazoo Lake Harbor Authority can then vote to amend their bylaws, and you're in. Completed. So we can be off to the races then. Any questions?
Brenda will take us out of here, folks.
Yes. Well, Steve will take it, so.
All right.
For vote.
Also, a side note, John and I were talking today, a reminder that the Douglas purchased an arena, not a marina.
I knew what you meant, yeah.
A marina, and from my discussions, that will be the home of the Galveston Bay Kamloops Authority.
Yeah.
In fact, since you brought it up, they're holding this month's meeting at the Point Pleasant Marina, which is everyone familiar with?
Yeah.
You know, it's Button Max's.
I've never been in there, but.
No, it's not.
No, I know where it
private.
is, never mind, yeah.
So they sold the marina portion and the swimming pool area, and they're having the Harbor Authority meeting there next Tuesday.
So they have the house too? I mean, didn't they live
No,
there?
they haven't moved there.
Oh, okay.
They have a guest house, I think.
Okay.
I'll find out. I'm gonna go to the meeting Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm not our rep, but they always invite me and Joe, and you go to so many things. I'm happy to go alone. I wanna thank them, and we're getting close, so.
You want a motion?
Can both those points?
Well, we did the second one, right?
Yes.
No?
Oh, no.
No.
It's supposed to open.
You can put it into one motion.
Oh.
I move to adopt Township Resolution 2021-06 to amend Act 7 Interlocal Cooperation Agreement, creating the Kalamazoo Lake Harbor Authority to admit the township and subsequent bylaw amendments, and to release a notice of opening for the Kalamazoo Lake Harbor Authority and have a deadline for review for the August board meeting.
I'll support.
Motion by Coulter, support by Helmrich. Any further discussion? All right, so this one is a resolution, so I will do a roll call. Helmrich?
Yes.
Marcy?
Yes.
Bickford, yes. Aldrich?
Yes.
Passes 4-0. Now to
Release for notice, that wasn't but the resolution you have read.
she read that.
Yeah,
She read that.
Did she come?
I combined the whole thing.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that
I-
part, okay.
Okay, I asked you if we could.
You can, I just didn't, I was like, alright, I'm listening.
No, she come out.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear that part.
No worries.
Okay, I didn't
Got
get
it.
pledge allegiance either.
We didn't-
Payback.
We didn't do it.
We don't listen to each other, Joe and I.
Page 2.
Alright. So this is an update, for myself and the board on Dugout Road. At the special meeting, June 21st, I think that was one, we had a special meeting for the Dugout Road public hearing, and to discuss that, and the township board did ask, for discussion with the road commission on making some amendments to that. I did meet after the meeting with the road commission, and they are, the standards are set, but there is still opportunity to look at the future of this project. But it can also be tied in with also looking at the utility amendments to the water main in that section. Currently, the water main in that section is in need for upgrade, which will require an even more in-depth discussion for those residents going forward. So that would be a part of the water asset management agreement, water asset management plan, different thing on the right, that we will be conducting over these next 2 years. Basically, that's the capital improvement plan along the master plan, but just for water use and sewer utilities. That is part of the agreement for Eagle that we signed this year to update our utility agreements with the sewer authority. We have a lot of challenges as defined. So that would be part of that process, and we'll be looking at where that fits in the timeline. So that'd be, between 5 to 10 year, maybe 20-year mark, depending, and that would, we can join the road upgrade and the utilities all at once. So instead of digging one time in everyone's front yard, we would then just dig one.
Yeah, instead of digging twice.
Twice.
Right. You can't narrow the timeline at all? I mean, you've got 5 to 10 to 20 years.
When we go through the process, we can look at that. But one of the things that we also have to look at when we do those capital projects is looking at our capital fund and how that is structured. So when we do this assessment plan, it'll also feed into our utility rate plan. So just an update to the board, is direct engineer Bird and Baker Tilly that we will pause as this thing with Eagle had come into impact our rate. So we will be doing the review on when these projects get added on so that we can make sure our rates are adjusted to compensate for the replacement. It will all kind of play together.
And they had some pretty major, water main issues or not?
One of the discussions during the public hearing was, my water dribbles.
Yeah, the showers trickle?
Yeah, that's part of the old water main that is there, and we're looking at, so that after our public hearing, the, director, Darryl, top of my head,
yeah, that's all I know.
He mentioned and reminded me about that utility project that will need to be coming online in the future, near future in capital terms. Just a update for you. Any questions?
To add to Brenda's comment about is there a way to move it up, I guess thinking, about the narrowness of the road and the difficulties that the emergency vehicles could face, snow plows and such. Kind of position does that leave us in if there was a tragedy?
So, I would have to look into that.
And that's not something you need to answer now, but that I think that's something we really
Well, I
need
would
to
think the
look
road
at.
commission would be liable.
Well,
It's one of their roads.
we told them not to do it.
Well, and they dug their heels in, and I think you all know the response was, the only way we could proceed was like, let's just do the milling, maybe we'll take bids and do it, would be if they gave up jurisdiction of that road, which would mean there'd be no snow plowing, there'd be no maintenance. And I've talked to a couple of neighbors that have called in and said, so if you want to explore a homeowners association or a special assessment district, we can do that, but you gotta get everyone in agreement, because we don't have DPW, we can't plow a street, so it's a conundrum. We did vote, as you said, to halt it for now, and
Yeah, we didn't actually say no.
we did. And Darryl,
Yeah.
Craig, and I talked to them because I wanted to make sure.
Atwood, not Atwood.
I didn't know it was all doing it now.
Yeah.
Craig Osmond. Oh, gosh, sorry. I've got that COVID fog living through it. Because I always had a great relationship with him. He's so responsive. We had two nice conversations.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I was even joking with him about trees. I was thinking, well, I love trees, Craig, but I'm not the only one who does. But there you go.
When we put the utility assessment plan together, we can't put it as one of the top projects. So, I say 5 to 10 as a covering myself. As I don't know what will come out of this assessment. So, it might not need to be replaced until later down the line.
And we would look at the road project.
They would look at the road project separately.
Right.
And I think there's an issue that Greg was saying to me relative to the water. I'm not sure this is right, but it's like a lot of houses are piggybacking off of other, they're not all actually connected on their own. I don't know, but that was said to me.
So that's
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? The next item is funding, and this looks like just a housekeeping, item is, I assume that we all want to,
In order to receive the funds.
to receive the funds.
Yes.
Yeah, so unless there's any questions or anything, I entertain a motion on this item.
I'll move to authorize the township manager to execute the necessary requirements to obtain the American Rescue Plan Act funding.
Support?
I'll support.
Motion by Marcy, support by Aldrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. And then, our item 10 was an addition, correct?
Correct.
And that is the, trail resolution amendment.
Right.
Okay. So, as you've asked me to look at it, I've given us a little lead into this, and to try to discuss this item further.
So the, non-motorized trail committee has been working very diligently, Brenda Marcy is one of the, members on that, and she's been, we've been working very hard. The engineering, has started and conducted, as you recall, the first part interlocal government agreement, came into place. All three committees voted, and that is now moving forward. Part of the resolution that was adopted at the beginning of last year was to come up with long-term maintenance and, reviewing for the long term of this. Within that resolution, there was a deadline of June 2020, but for administrative, to keep the committee moving forward, and within that timeline, it is being asked that that sunset date be removed, just so that the committee has that, formal process to keep it hard, diligent work. The two other managers and I are working on some more details for the committee to review on those long-term, reviews. I've been reaching out to my network and colleagues, around the state on how they do their trail authorities and interlocal government agreements. That, today I got a draft and I'm reviewing it and plan to bring that to the other managers for that. All of us, as we're looking for that financial stability for that future. So, the long term for the, the end is in sight where, we will be moving forward and creating that framework and actually getting this for the community. We just have to get administrative details, and that is why this is before you tonight, is just to make sure that we can continue to do those administrative details for everyone to get this project completed. Any questions?
No?
Would you like a motion?
Sure.
I move that we amend resolution number 2020-1 to remove the deadline for item number 6. Quote, the joint study committee will use its best efforts to complete its work and present a draft agreement and written report to the community no later than June 1st of 2021.
Is that date correct?
That section.
I'm sorry, pardon me?
What you just said is removing item
Oh,
number 6.
I'm sorry. Okay, yes, yes, so,
Okay, got it.
and to quote. So I did quote and quote, got it. Wait a
That
minute.
was confusing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your support?
I'll support.
Thank you.
And it is a resolution that
Right,
we can
okay.
throw off.
Even this, just an amendment, I get it. Better safe than sorry. Further discussion? Hearing none. We'll call the roll. Marcy?
Yes.
Aldrich? Yes. Wakeford? Yes. Helmrich?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. That brings us to report. Yeah.
All done.
You can read, Treasurer Helmrich.
Oh.
No. He just doesn't like to use my slides.
All your information.
I know, but anyway. This is my treasurer's report for July 14, 2021. And it's an exciting one because I'm sure you all celebrated on July 1st. We started a new fiscal year. So I'm reporting on how we ended last year, which was fiscal year 21. In the general fund bank balance, we held flat to the previous month with $2.2 million cash in the bank. Fiscal year 2021, as I said, ended. Total revenue for the whole year across all funds ended at 2% ahead of budget, and fiscal year-end expenses ended at 29% below budget across all funds. In the general fund only, which is general operating for the township, revenue ended up 6% ahead of budget, expenses were 6% below budget. Nice balance, but both positive signs. There were no departmental overages at fiscal year end that we need to address, and I'd like to point out, especially on the revenue side, the significant revenue lines that were ahead of budget as we ended the entire year included our cable TV franchise fee paid to us by Comcast was significantly higher than it's been in the past. The state of Michigan actually pays us once a year for access to telephone wires and poles and phone lines and poles, and that was up. I'm not sure why, but we'll take the increased revenue. And again, I reported this trend continued, but all three of our construction permitting revenue lines were up, and rental permits, and they were all up by about 60% in each category. It was quite a boom year for building and construction and rentals. Let's hope it continues. So the fiscal state of the township is excellent and remains quite strong. We did just pass a resolution regarding ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. Just so you know, we're expecting to get about $330,000 from Washington, which actually they pay to the state. The state's holding up the funds right now. They will be releasing them to us. We have to file our forms by July 27th to get those funds. We're still not sure when they will come. We've approved the application to receive our funds. The good news is we do not have to submit any plan for that spending up front, and I think we have till 2024 to spend the money. We do have to keep detailed records along the way, but no obligation is created up front. On the investment side, our total investments as of July 1st were at $1,800,000, $449.32. Our total investment pool has gone up by 135% from December. Now, that includes the fact that we've made 4 new investments, but that was our goal to increase that pool. I'm going to show a separate chart in a minute because every quarter I'm supposed to give a little more details on the investments. As you probably know, the fiscal year started July 1st, so did the tax year. Bills went out. We had about 100, actually, it's up to about 160 people have already paid. They can't wait. And the consent agenda, which I thank you, was approved for the first 2 disbursements that will be made this month. So, do you have the finance slide? Yes, please. Well, I'll talk briefly about it. Hopefully it'll get up there. The current value is just over $1.8 billion. We have our investments in Michigan Class, which is the municipal pooled financial institution we work with. We also now have 2 Federal Home Loan Bank Board bonds, one through D.A. Davidson Municipal Advisors and one through MBS, which is Multi-Business Services. And then we also purchased a CD with the First National Bank of America, which is based in Grand Rapids. And last month, no, actually it was May, we, through MBS, bought a municipal bond with the Buchanan, Michigan schools. So again, that holds at $1.8 million, just in a tad over, and it's a significant increase. Okay, there you go. I did want to mention, though, right now, as I said earlier, and this has been holding firm even when we pay all our operating expenses and obligations, we're still averaging about $2 million in our regular bank account, and only a fraction of that is insured, and it's a lot of cash. Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association, I recently did a session with them. and they were saying, get a handle on what is your monthly obligation? Our monthly expenses average about $480,000 a month. They recommend always having 3 months in the bank. That would be, in our case, just under $1.5 million. And we've got over 2. And also the million we have with class, the municipal pool is 100% liquid. So that's kind of cash on hand, but it gains a little tiny bit of interest. So Abby and I haven't, we're kind of the investment committee, so I'm suggesting she and I get together soon, because it would seem to me that we've got, I think, $600,000 that we should be making more investments in, and we'll look into that. But now we have these relationships with 2 of the leading municipal financial advisors, and we didn't have 6 months ago, so you'll hear more about that in the future. I think my next quarterly report might have a couple more investment products up there, so there we go. As the markets go.
I'm moving slowly ahead here as well, because rates had come up from where they were. We'll be looking, hopefully, some shorter term, since we do have the open and the 4 and 5 year investments. We're looking at, maybe 1 to 2 year investments, so we can stagger them. Hopefully, things are continuing to go up in the bond and CD world. I haven't been following it as closely as we were for a while.
Last couple of weeks are kind of dead.
We should
We're not allowed to buy stock, sorry.
we should set a time to get together and discuss this again, so we'll make work of that.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Road Commission, Brenda, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, Joe did a good wrap-up of where we are at Riverside Dugout. I do want to say that Joe and I met with Craig about, the main topic was the Blue Star Highway issues and the safety. And, he is going to look into options. He told us why some might work and why some might not work. We don't want a speed study, because chances are, because so many people speed, as you well know, Nick, our actual speed limit could go up. So we don't want to do that. So we just talked about all different types of options, like lights. Where should the lights be? If they do lights, there's just so many. So they're looking into it, and I hope to hear soon, because we have, at least I have personally, people are very upset about the safety on Blue Star Highway.
Was there any discussion of the overgrowth of that Nick was
I
talking about?
mentioned across the other side, the church side, it's very hard to see around the church side when you're coming up Allegan and trying to cross Blue Star, or turn left. Or, actually, either, yeah.
A couple of additional things, too. We did talk with, Mr. Atwood about, pedestrian walking, and kind of some long-term things. A lot of our residential neighborhoods are up here around Clearbrook and stuff, trying to safely get across, but this week I went across, get things ready for Mr. Block's, funeral. Quite dangerous sometimes.
You got a recording with my 2 dogs and my 7-year-old grandson, and it's tough. I mean, gotta be careful.
But, when I went down after the last public meeting, and, when we met with them, the other day, we did talk about, we would like to see some conversations. So we did a lot of brainstorming and making our concerns noted. Mr. Atwood with that, looking at things. Regarding the old Allegan Road update, the city of Saugatuck is looking at a possible light at Lake and Blue Star, which would impact the old Allegan and Blue Star intersection. So in cooperation with everyone, the road commission, the township, the road commission, and the city are working together on those items.
That was my question. I mean, it seems like there should be some collaboration of how can we attack this together, because everybody's impacted by safety issue.
That's all I have for roads.
Joe, did you have anything else?
crosswalk.
So did they think they can do crosswalks? I mean, that's just paved, right?
I don't know about right there.
I don't know, that's,
Not right.
crosswalks are scary, cause
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are supposed to stop, but they don't always
They're
stop.
different in a
you know.
downtown area.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
We talked about it as more of a long-term goal. We talked about some of the particular items, you know, with the resolution that the board just passed and the light. But also, please note these other things that we're a little bit different than, you know, Andes or Manuel Township that, you know, pretty rural, there's no towns and large economic commercial districts. They're a little bit different.
did you have a chance to find out if that particular strip is, the county's, the road, or of the overgrown, or if it belongs to the church? Which I don't think it does. Okay. I just want to remember to remind you.
So are there other avenues that people are aware of to lower speed limits? I mean, it's been public outcry for some time, but much more as of late. Besides the speed study, are there any other?
From my understanding from Mr. Atwood was the current standards is it would go up. And going down is pretty difficult.
Didn't we already have a traffic light study, is that still ongoing? Remember we
have the traffic light, but we do not have a speed.
We don't.
Okay, we don't want to see, but this traffic light is still going on, or what's happening? Okay, nothing's happening.
And just trying to determine.
What do they do for that, a traffic light study?
I don't know, it's with the engineers, but that is in cooperation with the city of Saugatuck and their road department and the Allegan Road Commission and us through them to work together, because there has been discussion for a light down there, so that would impact our intersection. So that right now is the initial phase. When I talked to Mr. Atwood after our meeting, they are looking at doing a joint road light study between them. See how everything would be impacted. They're just working on the details of that. But a speed study would most likely increase it from 50 to 55.
Yeah.
Which is not
We
what
don't
we want.
He also said that if they were to put a light at Lake, and this makes sense to me, that the traffic would just automatically slow down and come around instead. Maybe, but I'm aware of people who hit, you know, the pedal goes to the metal, so.
Well, just interrupt that traffic flow.
To interrupt,
And,
yeah.
as would a roundabout in different places and all those different options, it does interrupt it, and it will take longer to get from point A to point B, but that's fine, because people aren't managing on their own very well.
No. And Joe, I don't know, I'm asking that one question because of whoever's responsible for maintenance, it's really important that it gets done. I don't ever remember it being like this, so then I started to wonder if it was us, or is it Allegan County?
I will give them a call.
Yeah.
To talk to, their road maintenance, road superintendent, those individuals who manages the cleaning and stuff.
Okay.
So I don't have his number, so I'll give him a call.
Okay.
I've seen the Detter crew out there with a bunch of weed whackers and stuff.
And they were today, but
They were?
by the bridge.
Oh, okay. Maybe if they could go by Nick's house, I don't know. Got a weed whacking situation over there, or, yeah?
Sure.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we know, to Nick's point about the radar sign to tell you how fast they're going, is that something that,
We did not.
but is that something we could just do? And
I know the
they have them on Allegan Road now.
And the police presence has been great
They were sitting out at the fire department today.
Yeah.
I agree with.
So maybe that coupled with that,
So does those come to
as a shorter term.
Sheriff's Department?
We did talk about flashing lights and caution and different things that think outside, but we are in the process as the road committee and the road commission at looking at alternatives as part of the brainstorming and throwing things like, how can we address this issue?
So, like, do we know, maybe we don't know the answer, but who's responsible for the radar sign?
I would have to ask.
I don't, it sounds like that is not road commission, that could be the municipality.
Well, road commission wouldn't handle city road,
They don't handle it.
right, they only handle the primary.
The thing with those road signs, though, there usually is more of a 25
Yeah,
area. I
usually,
think
yeah.
maybe people are going the speed limit. I don't know. I mean, if 50's just too fast. I mean, could
Well,
that
a lot of days
possibly
you can't go 50 if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
right.
Well, the-
So I don't know if that's
The congestion
will be
is huge.
effective right there, because it seems like it's more residential where you, I don't know.
When
Maybe
you
I'm wrong.
report, if I get any information, I'll make sure I detail it a little bit more.
Okay.
If I get anything for you all.
All right.
For further.
And I am worried, to Nick's point about them using the construction,
Right.
you know, to say, well, you know,
Yeah.
it's the construction, and I agree, I don't think, yeah, I've dealt with this all the time I've lived here.
Uh-huh.
But
And I crossed your
It has a huge
area.
Yeah.
And it took me forever to get across.
I know, it's
Yeah,
awful.
But the traffic this summer is,
It's really bizarre, yeah.
it takes 20 minutes to get.
And the aggression of the driver is escalated, I think.
All right, lots of questions. It's gonna be-
Alright.
Stacy, I see that there's a fire board report in
Yeah.
our, packet.
Well, there's
Summary.
statistics and things. I talked to Chief today, about, John Block passing, and he told me some things that I think are worth mentioning, and that John, served on the fire department for 45 years, and he was 37 years as chief, and his legacy is that he was instrumental in bringing the fire codes to each municipality. And he started the fire safety program in the schools, which was not a thing when he started it. I think he was one of the first, Greg said. He was ahead of his time, and he was a leader in the community risk reduction before that phrase was even created. And several departments attended his funeral. I unfortunately couldn't go. I had a babysit, so I'd like to send his family our deepest sympathy. And he was an amazing man, and like I said, beyond his, he created a lot of things that influenced other departments, and I wasn't aware of that, but, Chief Janik has the utmost respect for him, so.
Everyone saw that we did a resolution, correct?
So it's
The township, and our flags at half-mast.
Oh.
Cindy,
It was out there somewhere.
Yep, so we posted it on, Facebook, so this week, if you notice, the flag is at half-mast for, former, Chief Block, and will be in for the remainder of the week, so, we wanna make sure that we take care of and recognize that.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have anything else to add?
No, there was really not a lot at the meeting this time, so, he did win that Eagle Award, we're hoping to have maybe some type of celebration or coffee or, thing for that, now that COVID's getting a little bit better, so, that was a big deal, so. Want to acknowledge it.
Okay. Great job. The planning commission.
well, the planning commission did not meet in June, so there's not that much to report. I did just want to make note that as of this Friday, 3 of the 4 special subcommittees will have met twice. So things are moving with economic development. I always forget the third one, attainable housing. No, the third one. That's met twice.
Star corridor, or is that what?
That hasn't met yet.
No. Who's our safety? I don't think it's met yet.
Oh,
He has
Corridor,
not,
like beautification.
But there's 4 subcommittees.
there's rural character,
Rural character and conservation.
conservation,
Business development. Oh, attainable housing. No, I had them.
yeah.
Those 3 have met twice as of Friday, so. No, and it's
Did you by
exciting.
chance talk to Dave about
I
that?
have.
Anything going on, or updates on that?
He's supposed to be stopping in, but I'll probably stop back.
And
He's been super busy.
he's vice chair of my
Super
business,
duper busy.
he's vice chair of my business committee, and he forgot.
I know, he's really busy.
So we had a
I
good
gotta
meeting
say,
anyway.
maybe,
That helps me.
we gotta give him a break here.
So I have made or introduced myself to most of the committees, and, they are working very well on attainable housing. Denise Webster is the chair, she was the most recent appointment, she's doing very well at, Mike Worth and hearing is on the, thing, and they're doing very good and understand the focus on reviewing our master plan and making sure our ordinances are there to make that reality. So, they're all very productive, and, the safety, while I did talk to, Dave Riley, some of the questions were, related to kind of, is the road committee and commission currently working on that right now? So that is one of the conversations that, most likely need to be had, is, are we double dipping?
Yeah, we don't wanna do that.
Because as Brenda and I are currently working on, the safety of Blue Star, is the planning commission is looking at taking in a different light instead of roads. Maybe it can be redirected to being, housing, fire safety, and how that impacts things, and, sidewalks across the, safety path. Old housing is tight, a lot of our roads are pretty tight, so maybe we need to have sidewalk ordinances within certain districts, and so on and so forth. That could be a refocus, but that would have to be the planning commission to take that, so that would be a discussion, hopefully, for them.
Next part, if they haven't met, do you have any updates so far? Was there a report in here?
There was not, and they have not met. They can't meet officially. Karen and I, went on a tour, gave me a tour, and we had a long in-depth on where the parks have been working at, and went all the way down to see the dock. We've been through the Kalamazoo River trustees, they have a very long name. We did get a grant process, and we'll be starting that to restore the, at the end of River Bluff, to restore the coastline there, and to stabilize that so it doesn't erode anymore as the river, when I took the map down, comes in, it cuts there, it's cutting into the park. So we are looking at having that restored. Engineer Bird and I will be scheduling a meeting on the next steps with it. So that is very good for our community, going forward. The park commission, when they do get meeting again, the big ticket thing is some administrative stuff, creating a formal policy and procedures, as right now it's just a word of mouth, as well as updating their bylaws, which are from 1974, when both the cities were villages and the schools were part of the park commission. So trying to get them up to date.
Interesting.
Yeah, trying to get them up to date with our current long-term plan, so that the park commission can implement the park and recreation plan, and more firmly ask for grant writing and get projects done. So I'm looking forward to it. As the park commissioner, I've talked to them, and they look forward to the projects that we have planned.
Cool.
And are happy that the township board, part of our multi-strategic year, is looking at investing in parks, so they're looking forward to that. That's all I have for parks. Alright, Kalamazoo Lake Water Sewer Authority, as an update, I am the secretary treasurer, so I have to take minutes.
Right. I got the new guy, huh?
Yeah, I was, what was it? I can't remember the phrase. I was told.
Voluntold.
I was voluntold. I'm like, okay. But nice to know that their executive board, one executive member is representing each of the municipalities, so that is very nice. That part of it's a good thing for us. A couple of things, so note is their server, not served. It went down and they had to replace it only for ours. It did not impact anything going forward, so that's good. They are looking at some property acquisition for long-term planning and strategic for our items. And the next meeting is Monday, but the last one we did purchase a new truck for maintenance, to update the fleet, so that was good. So it was nice to talk to all those gentlemen, they are all.
I know, now I can't think of it. Van Dyke, yeah.
Not Dick Van Dyke, Carol.
Yeah, now we'll remember.
He gave me a tour of the plant, which was very nice. The tour process is very similar in part steps to Blissfield, so it was very nice to quite familiar with how it processes. They are not lagoons, they are holding tank processes. So unlike lagoons, these actually aerate and move mixture similar to an oxidation ditch where it moves around and keeps the things that fly with bacteria and moves. Where in a lagoon it's just a natural process that just takes time. So that was kind of nice to realize the difference here for our okay.
Thank you for taking that.
No, this is my nerdy talk, I like it.
I think we got the right guy.
Yeah. Do we have an update from Mr. Shipa? I don't think they've met weekly. No. They meet quarterly, so I'm sure we will hear from him in the next month or two. Interurban Board, Deputy Clerk Babinski submitted a nice report. Any questions or comments on her report? The Recycling Committee, we had an update from the Chair Lewis, and we do have a report in addition to the paper here with.
Yeah, it is different.
Okay.
One is from Danielle DeFranco, who is our representative, that we did send that here, and then Garnett gave another one. I do want to let you know about the paper gator. One of the things is I am speaking with Daniel on some of the logistic parts, those lovely administrative stuff.
Yeah.
Just to get that settled. But I did clarify with the administrator that it wouldn't be any problem. We would put it in the back parking lot, so we are planning to put it here. It's just, checking the boxes and making sure that, all that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I made a note that I wanted to ask if we needed to take any action on it, but it sounds like it's ticking along.
Yeah, it's more of an administrative thing where they're signing off first or if it's.
Did you have anything to add? I know you talked about some of the items on your manager's report, but anything else to highlight or add?
So with the ARPA funding, just a FYI, I was talking to some colleagues about, as we're all learning, it's a little slow to get the updates on how the system's roll out, which is nice as DC is slowly in its way figuring out how to do infrastructure. Hopefully it come out with some stuff. But there are a lot of rural townships that have the, as a part of the form that we did approve, can turn down the money. And I have heard, a lot of rural townships up north that are smaller, they don't have quite they're just roads and basics. They don't have water and sewer and infrastructure, but they are looking at turning it down because they won't be able to protect it. Because it is based on population. It's their decision, but it isn't at the benefit to us because from my understanding is the payments will be coming in 3 installments. The first installment will be this year, the next installment will be next year, and then whatever was turned down will be redistributed population-wise again back to the municipality. So it could be an increase in ARPA funding. So just an FYI on that. Building renovations, that is coming along nicely for our concept. I was seeing those. I do have, not the drunks if you want to see them. But those will be coming in August with a kind of a proposal of what you'd like to do for decision making. So we are on time, on top of the timeline that I presented. So I'll be asking for your guidance then. Harbor Authority, you approved that. The building official RFP, note here, Eric Davis has been our temporary building official and has done a very good job. Al Ellington is doing better and is slowly coming back into service for us right before you will be retiring. I am working on a interim or staff agreement with Mr. Davis for more long-term process for our building department service needs. So that will be coming with an update soon. I'm hoping to have something ready for August for you all. Review website branding, I'll get you more information on that. And then I will be putting out the RFP once we determine if we want to rebrand or see if we can try to do it in a different way. But once I get that clarification from the board, I will then, once that gets started, start working on the other parts so it tees up very nicely. I've already reached out to PSNA to make sure our online permitting for contractors so they can go online and fill it out. Jennifer Grew, our office assistant, she is working on helping get that as well and making sure our DSA is prepared for that.
Can I ask a question, Joe?
Yeah, of course.
How do we know, and I don't want to get any more specific, but how do we know that Davis, the interim guy, is doing a great job? How do you know? I mean, we don't follow him around, we don't make sure he's going into homes. How do we know?
We didn't do that with Al either.
Yeah.
Somehow you have to, there has to be a way to measure the outcome of whether or not they really are.
What's the accountability system for our
There
building
isn't, yeah.
inspectors?
Yeah.
I think
Part of the accountability is the turnaround. The
What do you mean?
turnaround of when we get an application or when we set up an inspection, how quickly is it done?
But how, okay, so that's okay, but how do you know,
the quality inspection.
yeah, how do you know that what's supposed to be inspected is actually inspected? And the turnaround time might actually make that worse. I don't know.
It's similar to hiring an attorney for my position. You hire someone who has gone through, I believe it's like a 12-year process to obtain your building official license and review. Having talked to individuals who did so with Lake Town while I was out at the last medical leave, who used a different service, they like him.
Yeah, and likability doesn't weigh in. As far as I'm concerned, we have to think of a way. How do we?
I think that Supervisor Osmond might be a good person to be part of
Okay,
this conversation.
yeah, okay, good.
I know that she's dealt with a lot of those issues in the past. She might have some.
She also has her building official license.
Right.
Right. So there's that. I heard.
Yeah, there's that.
And she's an attorney. Show off.
She might be a
So I think she would be a really
okay, that's good.
Because I agree. I think you need. How do we measure their accountability? I don't know. And is there a system in place that by some code or?
And where does the liability fall when a house catches on fire or?
Those are all really good questions.
Those items would be by the building code board. Part of the settlement process and legal process for the Bodish lawsuit required to go into the building construction board of appeals and stuff. So the statewide board manages those licenses. So you have to obtain and keep certified with them and keeping with those folks in order to.
Right.
So there is that accountability on the state level to maintain your license and keep updated. So there are those more formal things, but we can look at how we do that.
Possibly add that to our next workshop. Would you mind adding that discussion point?
Building services.
Just the accountability. How do we measure it? And maybe there is a process in place that we're not aware of, some governing entity.
Because let's say your inspector doesn't agree with a certain rule or ordinance, and just his or her thing.
Are you good with that, adding that to our workshop?
Yes, absolutely.
Discuss
Yep,
it then.
and I love tapping Cindy, that's a good idea too.
So I can, talk about, metrics and how we, track things. One of the things is that, in my position, I'm very big on data and using that to help craft decision-making and recommendations to the board. So what we are conducting right now is setting up a system so that we can better track how long things take from when they get submitted to us and how long they get to be, you can start work. So the tracking of those metrics, it also works into our attainable housing. There's tremendous dollars for these folks.
Oh, yeah.
Right now with contractors, trying to get products, they need to know if they can build a house today.
Yeah.
Because they can't
The
the product.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently it has come down a little bit, recently.
Yeah.
But that is a big issue if we have to wait months before an approval can get done.
Yeah.
So in order to help track that, and so I can better manage
Yeah.
the office, we are instituting those changes. This will take a little bit to start getting those metrics, which will then be sent to the board and the public to know that we are doing a good job. Just that way. Well, good question. Anything else on the report?
Did you have anything else?
No, that was it.
Oh, I did not. I don't. Nope.
Open board report? No?
I do.
Yeah.
I would like to announce that, Treasurer Chalmers and I are going to cut the ribbon at News Standard this Friday at 4:00.
An invitation was sent to all board and planning commission members
Oh, was
Yeah,
it?
was it
by the
today?
CRH.
Or yesterday?
Friday.
Yeah, I got something.
Okay. So if you want to come watch
Yes,
that.
they invited
and-
everyone and the press.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. I'm excited.
I'm sure the press will be. Yeah.
Do you have anything to open board report?
Well, no, because we did the talking about the role. You know what I do? I'll add one thing about the funds. As, Dean Campington said, I can't believe what I witnessed over the July 4th weekend. All of the art vendors got no service. They couldn't take credit. I mean, it was a nightmare. Not just that though, everywhere I went, whether it was at Dairy Days or nobody, so the broadband is so important, and I hope, okay, so Steve and I had a pretty serious boat issue. We thought, smoke, alarms, everything going nuts out on the lake, and there were 6-footers. It happened when we were turning around. Well, I don't know if I could have gotten 911, because I called the chief, since he's, right there, but, we couldn't, Greg had been several people were trying to call me to ask if they should wait at our slip and help us, or send us help. So we do have a ship and shore radio that we can use if we need to, but I am just saying, in an emergency, and when there's that many people in town, everywhere.
Well, there's no service at the Oval. I mean, that's.
Oh, yeah, and
all
at State Park hiking, I always wonder if I break things easily, how long would I leave there?
I know, I worry about that.
Yeah,
There's a lot of hikers, they find it.
Right, it's on the top of their priority list.
We were talking
Yeah.
earlier, it's like constantly having issues with phones.
Yeah, but I wonder if that's,
Check that out.
you know what else? Blue Star Highway, I always can play music that I stream from my phone, always. But for the last 3 weeks, I might get 1 minute and then it's dead. And then 1 minute and it's dead. And I've tried, there are dead areas, new dead areas on Blue Star. There's a dead area on Allegan. And then there's the kids. If this isn't working, it's obviously, I feel like when you were talking about rural, they don't want to take it. I don't understand why they don't take it for that reason alone. Because how do their kids keep up with education? Anyway.
It's on the top of their priority list, and.
Yeah.
We'll have to look at down the road if we are looking at supporting that somehow.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to attract more business, we gotta give them.
The only thing there,
broadband.
the caution there is let's wait and see how much money someone else is
I
spending.
agree.
We can encourage them, but we may not have to chip in. He said we could
Oh, no,
chip in, but yeah.
No, I understand that.
There could be some big state initiative coming. Or not. And then cool.
So,
Thank you very much. John?
All right. I want to thank Harry for hanging with us.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
My
but-
first official meeting here. I did a Zoom meeting, but
Right.
I
I know.
so much more enjoyed hearing from all of you and
Well,
actually seeing.
we're proud of you for sticking it out.
Thank you.
and you were the occasional housing.
Yes.
I was actually here before you. Well, no, you were here. Were you here when I made the comment? Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
my board comment.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. You know I would have something to add. I just want to acknowledge and thank the hard work, the time, and the money that the Coastal Alliance has invested in this letter to the Army Corps of Engineers to propose let's see if I can do this at 8:45, a least environmentally damaging practicable alternative in the Army Corps Section 106 Historic Properties Review. It's a mouthful, but it's important. It's my understanding that the Army Corps is supposed to go with an alternate if it's sufficient and provided. So I think that's important. And relative to that, I don't know if you guys saw, about 3 weeks ago, EGLE, the Department of Energy, Great Lakes, and the environment, or vice versa, they wrote a letter to Jeff Padnos, the owner of all that property, and they were bringing to light, questioning that his plans have gone through lots of changes since they were ever approved by our planning commission and the previous board, and they're questioning the validity of certain things because it keeps changing. And some of us had questioned, the permit that was granted in October of 2017 was for 2 years. Now, we've had some legal counsel say, well, you can't count the time that they've been on hold because of the Army Corps. I don't know, but it is, 4 years later. And this is also, you may have missed, Attorney General Nessel has also raised questions and is investigating the permits that have been approved to the Padnos entity. And she has brought up the possibility that maybe they need to reapply because so much time has gone by. So I just want us to be aware, have it on our radar. I mean, this plan's pretty impressive, and it's got all the vote slips. And I know they've asked us to maybe, as we've done twice already, send a consulting party letter to the Army Corps. I know everyone's plates are full, but I'd like to suggest that we ask staff, which would include our manager and our zoning administrator, to carefully review what's been submitted here, and maybe include legal counsel and provide some comment back to the board in August, and have it potentially as an agenda item.
When you say provide comment regarding either supporting the letter or acknowledging it, something of that
So
sort.
what is their advice to us? We're a consulting party. If you read, I actually skimmed through the law in the back of the packet, and it's reference to, a government official should be involved, should be a consulting party during these historical reviews. I'm now a consulting party with Joe. Previously, we didn't have any member of the government in that role. And before that, they ignored every letter from the Army Corps requesting input. And it seemed to me that we're the government, we should be involved to some degree. So I don't know if I should do something formal or see what everyone else thinks, but
So, as the manager with something like this, me and staff will need a formal directive from the board as a whole, as the letter would be from the board as a body. So, just to let you know.
right, as it has been in the past.
Yeah, I just want to make that clear.
Sure. Well, then, I guess I'll, but where is it? It's not up there, Joe. No, I'm kidding. I guess I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to review the letter of July 6, 2021, sent to the Township Board from the Saugatuck Students Coastal Alliance, and present opinions or options to the board at the August board meeting relative to the issue of the Township Board as a consulting party to the Army Corps of Engineers to potentially offer a letter in regards to this proposal. Sorry.
Was that a motion?
I'm writing it down,
I know.
and I'm gonna read it back in a condensed version, so you tell me if that.
Okay, no.
Take your time.
No, yes, thank you.
But in your motion, you only push for staff to raise that.
And report back.
Right, but did you want to include zoning administrator, possibly legal counsel, and board member?
Oh, the way we've done it before. Well, I didn't, staff would include manager and zoning administrator.
And attorney.
And counsel.
Okay, fine.
So, the three of us would
That's
work
fine.
together to
Yeah.
come back with something.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
How I used to write in high school. Really
Oh.
close, and they're like,
Is it your eyes? Are you pretending to be writing in your, oh, I never, I sleeping, like, you know? I have an erasable tablet to help the trees.
What's an erasable?
That's erasable? That is?
Yeah, well, when
Well,
you,
if you use the pencils and everything, erasable?
it's not a pencil, it's a pen, it's a special pen, and what you do
Oh.
is you use a blow dryer.
What?
Yeah, and it erases all the pages.
So this is what I heard.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Excuse
me.
Okay.
This is what I heard.
Thank you, John.
Motion to direct staff to review letter from Coastal Alliance with options and give recommendations to the Township Board at the August board.
Say it one more time, please.
Motion to direct staff to review letter from Coastal Alliance with options and recommendations to the Township Board at the August board meeting.
Sounds like,
Is
covers
that what
it.
you want, Jen?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
That was
I
condensed,
support.
but I guess as long as it covers it.
It's very long, like.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't condensing as long as it got everything in there.
Yeah, I'll support.
Okay,
Or do you need it?
Or do you want, is that the motion you want?
I guess if you understand, like, the options are, like, if we come, can we come alongside of this letter somehow? Can we?
We'll look at the whole
Got it,
spectrum.
good.
And your opinion,
Yeah.
the collective opinion on if
We'll look
we,
at it,
as a consulting party, should weigh into the Army Corps.
Yes.
we'll look at it from, you know, can we write a letter?
We know we can.
We'll look at everything from, is it advisable to write a letter to, what the letter could say?
Yep.
We'll look at something and come up with something for that.
Go ahead.
and can I, we can still discuss.
Yes.
Is that an okay timeline for you? For the staff, I don't know what August is like particularly, and I don't know if it's something that you have to.
I'm sure it's tight, but I think timing
Timely.
is tight, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with the timing, I don't know the board, the Army Corps meets that.
Well, it's, they don't, I mean, you can talk to them, like I wrote to them today.
No, I meant like when they're.
They don't
They have
say
that
those
meeting.
things. I know, that was in April, they had the consult, she wrote back to me today and said that, April was the last consulting party meeting, which I know, because we were both on that. And then they've since had consulting party meetings, but only with the tribal groups.
Okay.
None of the other parties.
Okay.
And that's, so they don't kind of report on stuff, they work in very
Yeah,
mysterious ways.
that all depends. I like working at local government because they're a little bit more transparent. But, it should be fine.
Okay.
But I will, nevertheless, I will report something in August. If it need more time, please give us more time because we don't have something yet. So, I'll let you also know in the weekly reports where the,
No, then we can throw it along.
yeah, and I see John.
Okay.
All right, so I have a motion from Helmer, support by Aldrich. Any more discussion? in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 4-0. I don't have anything to add. Report, great meeting, mostly good news. Good news, yeah.
Longer than I thought.
Not terribly, I know, usually the good news.
I will no longer judge by the size of the
No, right. Well, we had so much public comment,
Yes, that
right?
brings us to
We gotta
public
rein that in.
comment. All of the public, is there any public, that would like to speak?
No, there is public comment at the end too.
Just enjoyed sitting here tonight,
Good.
actually,
Aw.
getting to meet all of you.
A lot, so we do appreciate it, because sometimes it is good just to really familiarize yourself with the players and the processes, so thank you for,
No,
for
we
being
wish more
here.
people did.
Yes. Yes, okay. Well then, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn at 8:51. This is regular monthly meeting of July 14th. Thank you.
Okay.
Short-term memory.
All right. Well, it's great to be in person.
Support.
Of course, thank you.
Supported by Aldrich. Further discussion, John says it was great to meet in person.
Yeah, that's my comment. Great to meet you.
I agree. Very productive.
I did very nice.
Good job, Abby.
All in
Thank you.
favor?